Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Come on in. Come on in. Good evening, everyone. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. How is everyone doing this evening? I'm so excited to be here. Let me put you on mute. I'll bring you down. But anyway, I'm so excited to be here. Mr. Jackson, you said you didn't see the invite. How are you doing, Mr. Jackson? Come on in and let's talk. Let's talk, Mr. Jackson. I'm just so excited to be here tonight. Um, I'm adding you, and I hope I am not having issues like I have been having these the weeks. So hopefully it'll bring you on in here and we can talk. I'm so excited to be here this week talking about autism awareness, very um, important subject, something that touches so many people. Okay, let me see. Uh, okay. Lots of feedback. That's probably the air conditioner. But let me see if I can get you in here, Mr. Jackson. Uh, okay. So I'm adding you again, and hopefully we can get you in, Mr. Jackson. Come on in, come on in. And guys, as you come in, as always, I like to tell me hello. How are you doing? Let me know that you're out here. Hello, Michael Franz. How are you doing? Thank you for joining us. Mr. Jackson, are you still not able to get in? What are you doing? Let's see. Oh, I don't know what's going on, but anyway, terrible feedback. Okay, let me see if I can turn off the app. And then you want me to have hot flashes. Just hold on. Okay, Mr. Jackson, is that better? Okay. Okay, I'm inviting you one more time. I keep inviting you. You don't see it? Okay. It's an invite. It says that it's adding you, Mr. Jackson. It says it's adding. So I don't know what's going on. Okay, there you go. You just love to be causing me trouble. Want to be starting something? Is the feedback better? I turned the air conditioner off.
Hey, no, no.
It's
You've got
not.
two. I think you've got two. I think your phone is active. Your iPad or laptop may be active.
My my laptop. Okay, okay. Let me see if I can mute this other phone because I do have my other phone because I want to be able to see the comments and stuff. But let me see if
Well,
I
just make
can
sure you
mute it.
mute it. Make sure you
Um,
mute it.
okay, I don't know how to mute now. Let's see. Uh, Okay, is that better?
Much better.
Okay,
No,
good.
no,
Okay,
no, because it's doing it again.
wait a minute. Okay.
Jesus.
Okay. Okay, now I have muted it. It should be muted. Is it muted or is the feedback
No.
still there? The feedback is not still there?
Yeah.
It is?
Yes.
Okay, guys, if you all are getting a lot of feedback from me, let me know. Tell me. Mr. Jackson says he's getting feedback. Maria Davis, do you hear a lot of feedback? Althea Thomas, y'all let me know. Are you hearing a lot of feedback?
So you're not gonna believe me?
Of course I believe you, Mr. Jackson.
Who you think?
Of course I believe you. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. It is 6:58 and we're going to start our discussion about autism in a few minutes. But let me know, guys, if you can't hear me. Because if you can't hear me, then we need to try to fix it. It's somebody, Maria, Althea, are you having issues, Mr. Jackson? You still getting all the feedback?
Yes.
Is anybody else getting all the feedback? Althea's not getting feedback. It may be on your end, Mr. Jackson.
Well, I only have. Okay. Well, let me go back out and come back in.
Oh, hi, Ms. Holmes. I'm going to invite you in. Are you getting feedback? Are you hearing me clear? Okay, Maria hears me fine. It may be on your end, Mr. Jackson. Okay, so while you go out and come back in, hello, Miss Ebony Lachelle. I'm going to go ahead and open the show, and then we're going to get started. I am so clear. Okay, thank you guys. Welcome to this week's edition of Let's Talk. I am your host, Juju, and we are coming to you live here from my living room. Each week here on Let's Talk, we will discuss current events and their impact on the Black community. We will also highlight local Black-owned businesses, local entrepreneurs, local artisans, local nonprofits, and upcoming events which give small businesses an opportunity to showcase their products. Let's Talk is created to be a positive, uplifting, and informative discussion. All constructive opinions are welcomed as we must learn to listen to and consider the opinions of others, even if we don't necessarily agree with them. However, this is not the place to tear down. It is intended to uplift and to enlighten. Therefore, if your comments are not coming from a place of love, and if they're not intended to uplift or enlighten, we kindly ask that you find another forum to express them. Please note that any opinion that I may share is strictly that, my opinion. This is not intended to be a news show. However, we will try our best to steer clear of gossip and things that are knowingly untrue. It is my sincere hope that everyone finds this to be a safe place where you feel comfortable sharing your opinions. About your host, I am simply a sinner saved by grace. Every good and perfect part of me comes from God. Therefore, I praise Him and I give Him glory anytime I am given the opportunity. My motto is I am walking by faith, inspiring hope, and showing love all along the way. Let's Talk is produced by my dear brother, who has always got my back, Mr. Jerry L. Jackson. All of that being said, let's talk. Hey, Duchess. How you doing? Hey, Catrice. Thank you for joining me. Beverly Christian Jordan. Thank you for joining. Stacy Trimble, Sabrina Core. Thank you guys for joining me this evening. We intend to have an informative an enlightening discussion on autism awareness. And so, as always, you are welcomed to express your opinions at all times. We will be um, making sure that we share those opinions with the audience. And if you have any questions, we will make sure that we ask those questions and try to get those questions answered. I am so excited tonight because we have a very special guest with us. She is the founder and CEO of Compassionate Hands of Hope Incorporated. It is a nonprofit organization that supports autism awareness as well as epilepsy. Her name is Mrs. Janotica Holmes, and we're going to see if we can get Mrs. Holmes in with us. Good evening, Miss Marsheen Cooper. Thanks to everyone who has joined us tonight. Let's get Miss Holmes in on the discussion. Mr. Jackson, how are you this evening?
I am outstanding, Julia.
Mr. Jackson, how are you? Okay. Okay. Go ahead.
I'm still here, like the feedback on my end, but good afternoon, good evening, everybody. I'm because I don't want to delay the time. I want us to go ahead and get started. But what I want to make sure that the audience knows is when you have a question, please post it in chat and I will capture those questions and Julia will pause and then we'll entertain all those questions at a certain point during our conversation with Miss Hughley. So don't think that we're not listening or watching for your comments because we are. Julia, I just want you to know that I am having some technical difficulties on my end, but I promise you I'm going to do what I need to do to make this successful, okay?
Okay, I know you got me. All right then. All righty, Miss Janotica Holmes, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I am doing awesome. I'm doing awesome. Welcome to Let's Talk. We're just so glad to have you here tonight so we can discuss Janotica and Jay's journey with autism. First of all, I do want to ask the question or ask the question or answer the question, what is autism spectrum disorder? And that is how it is known, autism spectrum disorder, because it covers a wide spectrum, a wide variety of different issues. And the people who are diagnosed with autism have very different symptoms and very different strengths and weaknesses. So that is why autism is called a spectrum disorder. But do you want to tell us what exactly autism is?
Yes. So autism is it is a spectrum disorder and it's very broad. It can be something as small as a child that just shies away from communication or eye-to-eye contact and don't like to be around noises, and they'll put them on the spectrum. So the spectrum actually, it deals with so many different things. It can be your behavior, it can be your speech. Some are nonverbal, some are verbal, some come with developmental delays. It's just so much, and that's why when you hear of the spectrum, and when you think about spectrum, you think about kind of a rainbow spectrum that has so many different sides, so many different colors, and so many different unique levels to what the autism spectrum actually looks like. For me, my son is verbal. He does not articulate as clear, but if you're around him enough, then you'll learn what his S's sound like, what his T's sound like, and sometimes his tongue, he just doesn't move it. He's really lazy on the tongue. And sometimes I try to get him to say stuff, and sometimes he don't. But he also has epilepsy, so that's a neurological condition that also affects his tongue, and so a lot in his motor skills. And so a lot of times when we're able to move our tongue fluently to articulate the words, he's unable to do that because he also has epilepsy. And usually you'll see kids with epilepsy that are on the
Yeah,
spectrum. I mean, I think it's just almost a hand in hand type thing.
I saw that in my research of autism. I did not know that it has several different comorbidities that go along with it. That kids who have autism will be more likely to have an epilepsy was indeed one of those comorbidities. So I didn't know that, but
Yeah.
I learned that, and that's what Let's Talk is all about, us learning different things about one another, so then we know how to support one another.
Yes.
Uh, mhm.
And so they may even have problems like some children we may say, oh, they're bad, or they have ADHD, or they're ADD or something like that. A lot of times those kids are on the autism spectrum. But the problem, and I don't know if this is a question that may be later on down in the line, but a lot of things that I see that's a problem with our Black community is the undiagnosed of
Mhm.
autism that we see. And a
Mhm.
lot of times we label children, but they could simply be autistic. And
And
so
there could
that's
be
what we,
some support and help. A lot of times, and that is one of the things that we also try to deal with is stigmatism on this show. Getting over stigmatism. We don't want our child to be labeled as autistic or to be labeled as having a mental health disorder or something like that, or even a behavioral disorder. So they go undiagnosed, because we don't want that label on them. But we have to realize that once these things are diagnosed, then they can be very successfully treated. Hello,
hey Jay,
Jay, how you doing? That's good.
he's
Good
not
to
really
see
happy
you.
with me right now. You see,
Oh,
he kind of threw that emoji.
uh-huh.
He's not happy because we came home to do this, and he said that we've been at church all day, and he was not going to he's not going to talk on my church live tonight. And
Oh,
and one of the things, we were at a family gathering, and I said we had to go, but he don't want to leave me. He don't want to not be with me, so he follows me. But then his mind wanted
he
him to
wanted to
stay there, but he
stay with
don't.
the rest of the family. Yeah.
Yeah, but he don't want to
Oh,
leave me, so
okay.
he got in the
So
car.
he clings to you.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and sometimes that can be a bit much,
Hmm.
sometimes, and some days sometimes my anxiety is super high, because he's just up under me. And sometimes he don't do anything. He's close to me, and he's just in my personal space all the
Oh,
time. So
oh,
sometimes,
okay.
yeah.
Okay. So, and is there a specific cause for autism? Do they know what causes autism?
No, it's just they say kids, some of them are wired differently. And I'll tell the story about my son. And I had a big guilt because Jay fell when he was a little baby, and I just felt like that was me. I've had some people to try to cut me below the belt and say that I was the cause that Jay had what he has going on, and of course that made me feel so bad. And then so I wondered, and sometimes even though I'm like, I know that can't be it, but sometimes I sit and I cry, and I wondered and I wondered and I wondered, and then I asked the doctor, and they was like, nope, nope, nope. And then I kept, like, it would cut anytime now, even in a deep argument with a specific person, they may bring this situation up. You're done? Okay, you're not gonna walk. It's getting dark. Okay, you gonna come back before it get dark? You gonna come back before it get dark? You gonna have fun? Okay. So and that happens, and so we did testing, and I thought, and sometimes I was like, okay, maybe, because that thought penetrated in my mind, especially how the enemy wants us to think that.
Right.
And then the more and more I met people that said, no, my child never had a fall. No, my child never did nothing. Like, no, it's just there. That's just the way God sometimes designed the kids. I don't know if I think kind of like with mental issues and things like that, some of it could be hereditary sometimes,
Mhm.
but they just never said what it is. It's just they say they're wired differently. That's just what they
That's
call it. Like,
that's just what it is.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So tell me and tell us, Mrs. Hong, what are some signs or symptoms that a child may be autistic?
So I've seen a lot of kids that I've actually observed, and I was like, oh, he probably is on the spectrum. But some of them will not make eye contact.
Mhm.
Some of them shy away from you. Some of them, you'll see a lot of kids do this. This
Mhm.
is one of the main signs that I notice a kid that may have autism when their parents have never tested them. If I see a child and there's a lot of noise and the child just does this and they covers their ear, I have a little cousin that was like that, and that's the sign that we knew. And then he was put on the spectrum, but he did not like loud noises.
Mhm.
And some things, sometimes it's behavior issues. Sometimes they can't pay attention, they can't sit still long. Sometimes my biggest thing with most of them is that they, and a child with autism actually they just don't see the world other than tippy toes, lining items. When they taste, is it OCD kind of where they
Mhm.
just play with items and
Right.
make sure that
Mhm.
some of them can't be, their food can't touch. Some
Mhm.
things they just
Mhm.
don't want things to touch and different things like that. So, um, yeah, and like my little cousin, one of my cousins, he have to have Mickey, Minnie, like he has all his characters. He's super smart, super verbal. He can read, but he wants all of his toys in a certain way. And he knows if he's missing one of his 30 toys, he knows exactly which toy is missing, and he'll have a fit if he don't get that
That
particular toy.
particular toy. Mhm.
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 And yep, and so a lot of them, like with Jay, I had to learn that in that, because it frustrates me as a caregiver. But then I realized they're kind of like us, who are typical human beings, that they see the world only for what they see it as in that moment.
Mhm.
So it's nothing you can say or do. You can try to have some type of calming technique, some type of coping techniques and coping skills that you use with them, but for the most part, they'll only see the world the way that they see the world in that moment. And I've been like that with my child. It's like nothing gives. He don't get tired. And I had to finally get to the point where I said, well, you don't get tired, I don't get tired either. Like, we're going to stop. We're going to make sure that we do what we need to do. And so sometimes, and some kids are different. Like, as for my child, I'm able to tell him that I'm able to tell him when I say no, it's no. Like,
Mhm.
because we've grown to that point.
Okay.
But 5 or 6 years ago, like, you talking about fighting, busting windows, doing everything that he said, I ain't busting no one. I know, see. And so now, like, this is a really high moment for him tonight. And so I like because people get a chance to see most of our smiling moments and stuff like that. But we have some moments. And he's been a sweet. Yeah, you're being a sweet boy. Yeah, you are a big boy. Thank you for being a big boy. Yeah, he said he was a big boy 2 times at church, and we did go to church twice today. So he said,
He's
I want to
tired.
be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I
Yeah.
I feel your pain, Jay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
You tired. Okay.
So this is thing number 3 that I'm asking of him, and he said, like,
No,
no.
I'm done. Okay. I'm done for the day. Okay.
Yeah.
I feel you, Jay. That's cool. That's cool.
She said she
All right.
understands. Jay.
Okay. So let us pause for a moment and bring in Mr. Jackson and see. I think we have some comments and questions from the audience, and we want to make sure we get those.
Yes,
Mr.
we do.
Jackson. Okay.
Jay, can you turn down a little
Well,
bit?
first, let me just commend Janatica for doing such a phenomenal job. I cannot imagine what you have to endure as a caregiver, as a parent. You have so many roles to tackle, and you're doing a phenomenal job. And every time I see y'all together, it just warms my heart because I see what a great job you're doing. I want you to stay focused stay prayed up and continue to do what you're doing because I love it. I don't know. I just don't know. But we do have some questions.
Okay.
I think you may have answered one of them. But the first question is, how can you go about getting your child tested? How do you go about getting them tested for autism?
You actually can make your pediatrician aware of your concerns that you have. You can also, and sometimes it is hard to get. It should be. I've seen some people say they struggle with it, but for me, it was like his neurologist kind of diagnosed him. So your pediatrician should, and then if you start, and if they are like no, or they don't see why, or they don't give you a referral, because you're going to need a referral. Most insurances require the referral to go to get your child tested for autism. And once you get them tested, or once you go through the process, then you start kind of gathering your information from like the schools and just different people that is interacted with your child, who have seen some of the concerning behaviors that you have. And so you then take those behaviors, or take that to your doctor, or like she said, a neurologist or a psychiatrist can help diagnose. But most of the time it's your pediatrician who will give you the referral for the concerns that you have.
Okay.
Thank you so much for that. So, is it possible for an adult to be on the spectrum, but not to the severity of, can be walking around and be normal and be on the autism spectrum?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's why the spectrum is so broad. Like, it is a huge spectrum. I mean, it can be the small, it can be high functioning autism,
Right.
and then there can be autism that's just nonverbal communication, some that'll never be able to toilet train, some that are just having a lot of issues. So and that's why regardless, and I tell any parent, regardless of where your child is on the spectrum, always know that it could be worse, and somebody else is out there who's probably dealing with a lot more than what you're going through. And so it's always best to kind of find support groups, to kind of Google what it looks like. And I'll say this, because even for Jay, like, he has so much favor on his life, because he has sodium. He looked at me and did like this. He has sodium channel AA epilepsy. If you ever Google sodium channel AA epilepsy, those kids are kind of bedbound. But that was the diagnosis that they gave him. Yeah, and they really don't articulate. They don't ambulate, and it's a lot that's associated with sodium channel AA epilepsy that we have not seen in him. So it's always a blessing to thank God for where you are. And regardless if you think you have the worst situation, I wish you might. See, that's how I had to talk to Jay. Like, I'm just being honest. And I did. And some kids you do have to cope with different. But I'm just a mom that I felt like, look, I'm raising you technically by myself. Some things I'm just not going to allow to happen in my home. Like, I'm just not gonna let you just destroy everything and think it's okay. Like, I'm just not gonna do that. And he knows that. We got to a point where he realized, he says, my mom is strong. And then he realized my mom is strong. So then he realized I pick and choose my battles with my mom. So I just go on. And some kids don't have the mental capacity to be able to tell the difference, or to be able to choose those things. But Jay chooses wisely a lot of times. Sometimes I just can't. Sometimes it hasn't always been that easy. But for the most part, he really does do. Sometimes he can get upset.
Oh no.
Okay. Well,
He said, I'm not
right.
upset.
Well, thank you so much for that. One more question, and then we'll go back to the conversation. When did you notice, or how did you discover that there was some differences with Jay? When did you notice that?
Well, Jay's a little different, because at 6.5 weeks, he started having seizures. Okay. Okay, he doesn't have seizures. You see, I don't have seizures. Okay, so at 6, so some of the things I just have to maybe spell out, because if he hears it, he's gonna talk back to me about it. But I noticed at 6.5 weeks. But it was he did not walk until he was 14 months. So the seizures they were happening, but some of the developmental delays I noticed.
Mhm.
And he would try to talk, but he did not walk. And sometimes, and don't listen to other people or family members most of the time, because they were trying to line up Jay's developmental growth and developmental milestones compared to a relative.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, oh, well, such and such did not walk until XYZ, or they didn't do this to XYZ. And so then it became, okay, so you shouldn't worry about it because it'll happen when it happens. But if you feel like something is wrong or you think something is wrong, go ahead and get a jump on it. You'd rather just get a jump start on it and know it than to just let it linger.
Yeah. And I read in my research that most children in the United States are diagnosed between the ages of 3 and 5. So most of the kids that I know who have been diagnosed with autism was diagnosed a little earlier than that, but they said that that's the average age, between 3 and 5. And I did want to, before we get back into the discussion, we were talking about being a caregiver. And I have something for you, because I know, caregivers are, it can be rough, whoever you're giving care to. But I have my little autism's awareness bag that I have. And for you, Miss at home, I have a cup, and it's a metal cup, and it has the straw, and it has the little thing in there that you clean the cup out with. And then I have some little bands that have different sayings on it, and little pins, and a ribbon in here, and I'm gonna get that for you. But I also want to know, is there any other autism, any other caregivers on the line tonight
I
that
think there
have?
may be Sabrina Core.
Yeah.
Sabrina Core may be one,
Okay,
because I
Mr.
watched
Okay,
her responses.
okay, yeah. So just if you are
I
if
post
you're a
that.
caregiver for an autistic child, please let me know, because I want to be able to share. So you, Miss Sabrina Core, you are
Yeah.
okay. And I think I saw Rachel Robinson on here, and I saw Jamila on here, and I know Rachel is and Jamila is.
And
Are there
Sabrina
any?
Core.
Okay, you have those
I've
down.
noted it. I've noted those. Yes,
Okay,
Rachel, Sabrina, and Jamila.
okay. All right, and if there's anybody else, let me know, because I have some more gifts I have. And I wanted to take this opportunity too to thank Miss Maria Davis, MD Designs, because she gave me some wonderful gifts, some coaster, a car coaster, autism car coaster, a t-shirt, and then I have some other things. But I want to just make sure that we let the caregivers know that we are thinking about them and we are supporting them in their efforts. Okay, so let's move on, and we'll get back with you, Mr. Jackson.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay,
I got you, Gene Ross.
okay, okay. So, let me see. It was another question that I had. And okay, so it was saying that kids are, uh, and you said that you noticed. So, I know that there are some common myths about people who deal with autism. What kind of myths have you encountered in um, your journey?
I don't really encounter a lot of myths. The one thing that I did encounter, and it came at a big cost, was that I was fighting for my child, and it was said to me that I was in a meeting with an organization, and they said he knows what he's doing. And so that struck a nerve, because sometimes he may and sometimes he don't, you know. And so and we were going to go to the alternative school, and I'm like, oh no, you're not. Like, no, this is not happen. And so I had to stand firm, and I had to stand, and I had to start talking terms like his behavior is a manifestation of his disability. You cannot treat him like you would treat a typical peer or a typical student. And then I said, they said he's spoiled. He's very spoiled. And they say that about my child too, that he's spoiled too, Sabrina. So I know what you're talking about. And then I started speaking terms like, okay, well, if you can't educate him, then it's your responsibility to find a place at your expense that you can educate him, at least until he's a day before he's 22 years of age. And then I started talking those terms. And then I just kept talking terms. I kept talking terms, and I kept saying he's entitled to a free public appropriate education. And I just kept talking terms and spitting terms out there to them. And that's it. And then this meeting is over with. And I got up. And I left, and the next thing they knew, they were hearing from my attorney. So it was like, those are just things that you have to, you're right, Ebony, you have to advocate for your children. But the most heartbreaking thing is that a lot of kids who need to be advocated for, the parent may have some disability. And so that's the most heartbreaking thing for me. And that's why when I fight, I don't just fight for Jay and for Jay's right. I fight for every child and for every child's right, because I say that it's a due diligence of the school system and others who deal with these children to do what's right, regardless if there's an advocate, regardless if there's a parent there, regardless. We need to be able to just hold up the due diligence that we have to educate and serve our children, to where they should get the same thing that Jay gets. And not just on the fact that Jay gets it because I'm his mom, and because his mom is knowledgeable of things. And so that's my biggest fight. And that happened with Jay.
I am so glad that you educated yourself. You equipped yourself with the tools that you needed, the knowledge that you need. That's why we do Let's Talk. Knowledge is power, okay? And so to empower us in the Black community, to be don't let people do all these different things to your kids, or treat them. And I have had that same situation with one of my nephews. He wasn't autistic, but but he was ADHD. And so I had to go to the school and like, no, you all wanted to put him on medicine. You all wanted to label him ADHD so you could medicate and control him, because I can control him at the house. But you all wanted to do that. So since you did, he is disabled, and the American with Disabilities Act requires certain things. And don't try to make me think you're doing something for him.
When it's supposed to happen anyway.
You're required to do these things. So yeah, I'm glad that you're educated yourself on that and that you're advocating for your child. So out of your struggle with Jay and out of your journey, you have founded a nonprofit organization. Tell us about your nonprofit organization.
So I am the founder of Compassionate Hands of Hope Incorporated, and I love Compassionate Hands of Hope because, and what makes Compassionate Hands of Hope unique is that I focus on inclusion. Most of the time, what you see now is you have typical peers or children or typical adults with disability, and you have adults who don't have disabilities. You have like typical peers, and then you have disabled. You never see them kind of combined. At Compassionate Hands of Hope, I do inclusion events. So like we had our inclusion inclusion basketball camp.
Okay.
So there were typical kids, and then there were kids with disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is you merge them,
Mm-hmm.
and it works for the good of
Both.
both, because
Mm-hmm.
it teaches compassion, and it teaches what somebody who's different from me looks like and how I should treat them.
Mm-hmm.
And then it helps the child with disability to feel
Mm-hmm.
accepted. And so some of the kids begin to be the best peer buddies
Mm-hmm.
for that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's my biggest that's the biggest thing that I love about it, is that anything that I do with, because Jay likes to play basketball, he likes to play softball, he likes to play football, he likes to dance. He is very social. He's a very social child. And so I have to take those moments, because he's not going to let me rest if I don't find a way to include this or pull these things together. And so I'm able to take what he likes, and because we found favor in the sight of God first, who allow these people to support me, and they bring their typical peers, and they love on Jay, and they love on the other kids that are there. And then we have people that support me, because like I did basketball and I linked up with Aubrey Reese, and so he put on, and he's a basketball girl, so he just put on this camp, and he was teaching kids with special needs, and he was teaching typical kids. And then so we did the last year we did the I Am Unique Valentine ball, and that was amazing, because we had typical kids, and we had kids with autism, we had kids with disability that showed up, and so that was amazing. Yeah, I signed you up. Yep, you did good. And then, like, if you notice, we do our Glow for Epilepsy awareness, and that's basically to highlight the neurological disorder, epilepsy. And so people come from all walks of life to come out and celebrate with us. They come from far and near. And it's amazing. It got bigger and bigger every year. Like, I had the vision, and God just kept sending the provision. The first year we were so pitiful, we had poster boards and we wrote on them. And then by this year we had big banners, we had big signs, we had so much. We received grants. And so that's what Compassionate Hands of Hope is all about, just inclusion.
And that is awesome. I know my nephew and his baby girl went to the I Am Unique Valentine's Ball last year, Austin and Journey. And then also you were talking about the commingling of kids. Duchess, you're on here. I know your baby Adriel, she went to a school at Auburn University when she was a little girl. And I think it was Project AIM. And that was the purpose of Project AIM. They had your quote, normal kids mixed in with the kids who had different disabilities. And it teaches, I think it teaches kids what we all need to realize: we're more alike than we are different. We have more in common than we have differences. And even with a child who you think may be disabled or nonverbal or have limited social skills or whatever it may be, you come to find out that we have a lot in common. And so so that is awesome. But I was looking at some of the myths, and some of the myths were, you know, that autism is caused by vaccines. That is one common myth, because kids are diagnosed a lot of times around the age where they start getting all those vaccines in order to go to school. And then another one that I thought was the case was that all autistic people had a savant skill. And until I read this, I was thinking, you know, everybody always said they have some kind of very special skill, but it was saying, you know, only 1/3 of the autistic. There are some that do have the capabilities to do awesome mathematical computations, and they have um, uh, memories, telegraphic memories, and all these kind of things. But that's only 1/3. of the kids with autism. So let's go back to Mr. Jackson because I think he had some more questions. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, and one of the things I was gonna say, and I got so lost in talking about the inclusion, and that's another thing that with Compassionate Hands of Hope is that we try to find that special ability, because I call it for children with unique ability. So I find that unique ability and try to pull it out of every child, and that's what I tell a lot of parents. Whatever their uniqueness is, just pull that out and just thrive on it, whatever it is, and just continue to encourage them and find out what it is that they like to do, and try
when
to
I was talking to you last week last week, you were saying how you encourage Jay to do, you don't limit him, and you allow him to do and try the things that he wants to do and try. And I thought that that was awesome too. You don't make excuses, but you allow him to do the things that he wants to do or try to do those things. And I thought that was awesome.
And for me, that's tiring because that's everything. He tries to do everything.
So he won't do everything, huh?
Everything. And I mean, I just roll with it. Like it was a time that I did not take him certain places, and then I was like, you know what? I know Jay got a disability, but if somebody just can't accept him and what he has going on, and that's on them. I mean, I'm no longer going to hide him. I'm no longer going to not allow him to go, because how is he going to learn to function if I don't put him in these settings? Right. And so now he learned. Yeah, you can play on your computer. And so now he knows how to do what's expected. He knows. I thought we would never know it, and he's telling me to press play on his Chromebook, that he has his own Chromebook, because he likes to listen to music. And so that's just some of the things. And so I spend a lot of money dealing with Jay on his wants.
Well, that's all children, so don't blame that on the autism.
I know that's right, because I got a girl too.
That's all of them. Mr. Jackson.
Thank you so much. Ms. Holmes, we would be remiss if we didn't commend you for the inclusion portion, because in the African American community, we have a stigma of being embarrassed when there is a disability or there's a mental health concern or whatever that issue is. We have a tendency to push it under the rug or listen to everybody's self-diagnosis and self-medications. But even me, I have seen how you include him and how you set the standard for so many others. So with that being said, I know that your Compassion Hopes of Hands is a nonprofit, but how can people support your organization financially? What are some of those things that we can do to support your organization?
So, of course, we need funds, but I try to write enough grants, but I do, sometimes that just don't work. So funding does help. If you ever want to donate, you can write a check to Compassionate Hands of Hope Incorporated. Like I said, we are 501c3, totally, everything is registered, totally tax deductible. So we make sure that we do give out our papers for you to file if you need to. We do have PayPal. Given by PayPal.
Okay.
And
if you would include that information, just type it in the chat for us, Ms. Holmes, so that we'll have that.
Right, because I was going to ask you to, you could have just sent it to me and I'll put it in there, but we'd appreciate your Instagram webpage, Facebook page, anything that you can provide us so that we can get your name out there. Thank you for that information. Now, I know you've mentioned a little bit about programs. You talked about Aubrey Reese. What types of programs can children with autism attend that's free or that may not be free, that we just don't know about, to help them to be functional?
And I think this is one of the things that it's almost shameful, but there are limited things that are kind of in our area that's just, I would say, that's just everyday things. You may have like myself who would put on certain events. The overall goal for me is to house my own organization. One day, that is the clear vision for me to open up an organization. I love my job. I love what I do with Boys and Girls Clubs of East Alabama. However, at some point, God is moving me to another level of trying to house these kids. And one of the things that I love about Boys and Girls Club, and I won't get off of here too much, is that with me being there, I have accepted a lot of kids that have autism. And, you know, they were worried, well, what happens if you're not there? I said, they're going to learn to function because the kids are going to rise up to that level. And it happens so easily. The more I start letting kids come, and I was patient with them, and the more it started happening, and kids pay, I would say, just send them to me, I'll try. And, you know, my administrator was like, well, what happens if you're not going to be there? And I'm like, they're going to learn, you know, they're going to rise up. And they definitely rose up to the occasion. And I don't know what the question was because I missed it, but because I got on that.
But that is awesome that you're accepting kids from the Boys and Girls Club. And it's sad that prior to you being there, and had you not been there, then these kids wouldn't have that opportunity to participate and to attend that. So that's great that you're giving them, other kids, that opportunity to socialize and, like you said, to learn and to know what is sociably acceptable. I have a little friend of mine, and I just love him so much, and he has autism, but um, from a baby, he has just grown. You see, but you know, he has gone to through these different programs. They have one at our university, I think.
I was
Yeah,
going to say, I remember.
okay, that's where he went. He went to Auburn University, and he has gone through that program, and you can tell. And he'll come and he'll say, "Hi, Julia, how you doing?" Because he didn't want you to. He was one that didn't want you to touch him, but now he'll reach out his hand and shake your hand, and he's learned his little social skills. And when he gets mad with his mama, he'll come to me and come to my house, and he'll sit on the porch. Can I just sit on your porch? I say, you sure can. You can just sit out here as long as you want to. But just a sweetheart. But yeah, you see, the more that they interact, the more that they learn how to interact.
Yes, because Jay in the beginning was in a self-contained classroom, and I was like, that's like, and Jay started picking up the behaviors of the children that were more severe than him. And so that's when I was like, I need him to kind of, because we do have this social family that's just and so we're like, I'm like, I need him to kind of be able to, because he doesn't articulate well, I need him to be able to do things that typical peers do. And that's when we learn toileting. We learn how to, he knows where everybody lives at. He can tell you how to get everywhere you need to go to any one of my family members' house. He knows direction. He knows when I'm going in the wrong direction and that he somewhere he don't want to go. He knows that. And so he knows a lot. But back to what we were saying, Auburn University, I think, is one of the main places that have somewhere. You have like the Exceptional Foundation. You have Braveheart. And these are just things that are on top of my head that I know. And, you know, certain places, and you have to figure out what fits best for your child. Yeah, because like you have, and the thing is too, you have to be very careful when it comes to autism and mental illness. Because if you say mental illness, that's going to shy away from any
That's not the
autism thing that's going to happen. So you have to be very careful in your words and what you say when you're talking to the mental health. If you say autism, sometimes they will not deal with mental health well with the autistic child if those words are used. So that's just the way it is. I don't know why it's like that. But I was coached by the doctors, don't say that word, because if you do, then certain things we won't be able to get you that
Okay.
help for.
Well,
Depending on where you are.
that was one of the things in my research when they were talking about autism, and because it's the spectrum, some may have one of the comorbidities may be a mental illness, but all of the kids who are diagnosed, or all of the people who are autistic don't necessarily have a mental illness. So a lot of it is social
Mhm.
and not mental. And so, yeah, I was looking at that. Saw that in my research as well. But anyway, and some of the other common comorbidities that I did not know that they had was, anxiety, gastrointestinal problems. I have a coworker, and her baby had all these gastrointestinal problems when he was young, and they were doing all this stuff and all this, and then eventually he was diagnosed with autism, and it wasn't any other, it was his gastrointestinal issues that made them realize that he was suffering from autism. And I like, wow. But feeding issues and disrupted sleep and other things, motor challenges, but a lot of different things go along with it. Like you said, it's a wide spectrum. Are there any other questions out there from the audience, Mr. Jackson, or comments?
No, there are no questions. Uh, there are no comments as well. A lot of praise
Okay.
for Miss Holmes and support for her. And a note from Rachel Robinson saying that she's not an
I saw
autism
I saw
grandparent,
that.
but
Mm-hmm.
she had her someone tested and he was negative. So
Uh-huh.
basically, she does have family members that have autism that she currently encourages every day.
Mm-hmm.
So she is not a
Okay.
caregiver. Thank you for the
Okay.
note.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
then we have
I
a
saw
comment,
that.
and we also have a comment from Beverly Christian Jordan says to Ms. Holmes, do not forget how awesome Jay is on the drums.
Yeah,
Okay, she said that Jay is very good on the drums.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
He loves the drums, and Beverly is right. And Beverly is my church member. And that's the thing, too. I'll tell people sometimes you can't find what's best for you as a caregiver. You have to do what's best for you and your child combined, kind of, sort of. You have to find somewhere that accepts your child for who they
Mm-hmm.
are. And my church is truly that church. They know, they've seen me jump down from the choir stand and they have to go pull them because something was going to go wrong. They've seen the good, the bad, the ugly, and they've seen the best version of Jay right now that we've seen. And Jay has, he's saying, yep, he loves praises and he loves to play the drums. And so we've incorporated now where he plays the drum. When do you play the drum at church, Jay? Yeah, and but when is your turn to play? Wait my son. He wait his turn, and during the offering, we've incorporated that that's Jay's turn to play the drums, and he waits his turn, and he waits for that. So you have to find individuals and find places that's going to be accepting of your children and allow their gift to make room for them. That's scripture.
Okay.
Like, let their gift make room for them because they and somebody saying our Mr. Warbucks, Jay was Mr. Warbuck in the Annie production. Come here,
Yes.
and he did an amazing job. We've never acted before, and he loves praises. So he now hears me saying the good things about him. So he's happy, and it doesn't last long. He could be upset, and then he'll say, "I'm okay now. I'm okay." And so he played his, and I was concerned because he couldn't articulate as well, but everybody knew that that was an inclusion, the Penguin production, and Jay just blew it out the. He did.
That
He
is
just blew it out. He was
awesome.
acting.
And
Yeah.
I am just so so happy, so pleased that you allow him to participate in all of these different things. And like you said, you don't limit the things that you allow him to do. You let him be all that he can be. Awesome. I love it.
And
I
his
love it.
shirt says inclusion matters. And that's his shirt says inclusion matters. So if y'all need any t-shirts, let me know. The That Way, who I partnered with, Aubrey Reese, he has t-shirts. I think they were like $10 a t-shirt. It wasn't much, but inclusion matters is on his shirt.
Okay.
And Jay, we just continue to promote inclusion. I mean, every child deserves to be loved. Every child deserves to feel somebody saying, "Hey, nephew," I don't know, I can't see it, but every child deserves, and every parent deserves to be supported. And just because you see a parent that's smiling, there's nights that I have cried, and some nights it's tears of hurt, some nights it's tears of joy because we've had such a good day. So, yeah, you just be patient with people, especially caregivers. Not even just of a child with autism, but any type of caregiver can be a daunting task.
Right.
And that's where Compassionate Hands of Hope is not just for children or individuals who are limited to certain disabilities. It's every type of disability that is there.
Okay, with the inclusion matters, I just want to get this t-shirt. Does any of the proceeds go to Compassionate Hands of Hope?
Well, it's Aubrey, actually, he does a great job. He has his own nonprofit too, That Way, and we're kind of sister organizations where he helped me, I help him, we partner together. If he gets something, and he put up all the finances for those shirts, and I did certain different things, and he gave away a lot of shirts. So yeah, either way, and he'll find something else to do with me, and we'll partner again together. So it's always just a good thing, and that's how we actually roll. That's how we're actually able to stay afloat by helping each other do things.
Okay, well, that is awesome. Thank you so much, Mrs. Holmes, for coming and sharing with us and allowing us to raise awareness in the community, and just encouraging people who are dealing with being a caregiver, giving them resources, giving them hope, giving them tips, and then also letting us share in your and Jay's journey. And as it continues, if there's anything that Juju Let's Talk, anything can do for you, please let me know. Please let me know.
And prayers is one of the main things. Like, I just tell everybody to keep me in prayer as I go. And I know we're getting ready, but like, even for me, I have certain things that was challenging for me with health the last couple of months. And the thing that I cried about the most was not me. I was like, Lord, you got to get me well for my baby, because I can't. His neurological with his epilepsy and his neurological deficiencies, he's unable, he's tremors, and some of his clothing he's unable to button and fasten. And my hands were hurting me so bad, and my friend just heard me cry. I was like, the biggest thing is that when I couldn't help my baby, because that's my baby, you know, people hear me say I gotta go pick up my baby, and it's not talking about my 12-year-old. She's my baby, but Jay's my baby. And so and so that's the main thing, is that when I get sick, when I get tired, but I have oh my God, my support system, my maternal and paternal family are amazing when it comes to children. So
that is great. That is great. Thank you so much. We have really enjoyed. We have learned a lot, and we appreciate it. We will have you back, and let us know when Compassionate Hands of Hope is doing anything, so we can promote that. And just keep in touch, okay? Don't let this be our last conversation, okay?
It will not, because I definitely was looking for an autism brunch, and I know it won't happen in April because of so much that went on with me the last 2 months. But we will get an autism brunch with Compassionate Hands of Hope, probably in the next month.
Okay,
well, and
just keep us updated, okay? I appreciate it. You and Jay have a great night. Good night, Jay.
And this is my girl Jayla. She She does a great job with Jay as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
so she has to be a little caregiver herself.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
sometimes it was frustrating to see her cry from the moments that when we were having hard times. But she's a big girl now, and
Okay.
she's doing great, and she
So,
loves her
so
brother.
Jayla, when I get your mom's bag, I got a T-shirt for you. Okay, I'm gonna send you
Okay.
something too, cause you're a little caregiver yourself. I'm gonna
Thank
send you
you.
something.
Thank you all for
All right,
having us.
Thank you.
thank you.
All right.
Bye bye.
Okay, that was an outstanding conversation,
That was awesome.
Julia. It
That
was
was awesome.
awesome. So
Yeah.
let's get our announcements in before the
Okay.
program is over. First announcement, of course, St. Luke is always doing something for the mothers. The Young People Division, we're asking everyone to reach out, or if you know someone, to purchase a $5 tribute in honor or to remember the special woman in your life. It doesn't have to be your mother. It's a special woman in your life. And each honoree will be listed in a special Mother's Day program at the St. Luke AME Church. So that's one of the very important announcements that we want to make sure that you are aware of. And then we want to, of course, talk a little bit about something that's really near and dear to us is the annual Juneteenth celebration. Our annual Juneteenth celebration, and I'm posting all of this in chat, is going to be June 15th on the grounds of St. Luke AME Church, Opelika, 1308 Auburn Street, from 11 a.m. to 3 o'clock p.m. We are needing and requesting vendor tables. We're requesting vendors. The vendor tables are $50. Food truck spaces are available, and they're $100 each. We're looking for sponsorships. We've got platinum at $1,000, gold sponsor $500, silver $300, and bronze $100. Or you can give any amount of a donation that you want. There are also entertainment opportunities. We're looking for choirs, soloists, steppers, dancers, poets, spoken word, storytellers, anything that will allow you to perform. We're looking for you, and we've got a great lineup. I'm really excited about those that have already accepted. So if you are interested, please do not hesitate to contact our Dean Juju Thomas, Duchess Thomas, Althea Thomas, or myself. We can provide you with documentation. We can provide you with more information. So we're really looking forward for you to participate. It's extremely going to be a wonderful opportunity for everybody to get together where we can come out and support our fellow Juneteenth celebration. And finally, I want to bring your attention to something that's really, really important. Is a wonderful podcast that is hosted by, it's called Divinely Guided Podcast on YouTube. And it is every Monday featuring the dynamic mother-daughter team of Duchess Thomas and Adriel Vincent. You can actually see that information in the YouTube channel on in the chat. So then we don't want you to forget, we really want to go big here, okay? We want to go big and we need your help. We need for you to be sharing and liking and
Yes.
inviting people to come out and be a part of this Let's Talk. It is so important because the more people know about us is one thing, but we need viewership so that we can get over to YouTube and go global. We want to be big. We want this to go big, and we're not going to stop until it does because God has a vision that He's given Juju, and He's told her to bring me on as a producer, and we're a great team together, and with God, all things are possible. So we're going to make this work, and we really, really, really are excited. Um, And also, we want you to subscribe to, um, we want you to support By Juju for You. She's a proud sponsor. We know that she's not doing a whole lot, but just be supportive of her. And we also want you to know that she's a proud sponsor of Hold Up the Light. So, Juju, I commend you for always being that visionary and the light to help others. And I commend you for that. And thank you for putting together such phenomenal programs and sharing information because, as you have always said, knowledge is power. So
Mhm.
I'm going to end it and sum it up. And thank you so much. And I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Thank you guys. I have just enjoyed myself. Once again, I want to thank Ms. Janatica Holmes for coming and joining us tonight. She was awesome. If you guys missed it, go back and watch the replay, share and like this video because there's some information in here that people need to know. Don't forget, next week we will be back here at 7 o'clock p.m. talking about, oh Lord, I can't even think what I'm going to be talking about next week, y'all. But anyway, I'm going to be back here talking about it. What is it, Mr. Jackson? I can't even remember. Oh my goodness. But anyway, I'm going to get the fire out to y'all because once I remember, what is it? Jesus. Oh, now I'm just embarrassed. That's just a double nickel moment right there. Sorry, y'all. Anyway, thank you guys for joining us tonight. I will let you guys know what next week's topic is. I'm sorry. But thanks for joining us. I am Juju. I am that mountain moving giant slayer. And remember, my motto is I am walking by faith. I am inspiring hope and showing love all along the way. So until next time, I wish each and every one of you much love, and many blessings. You guys have an awesome night. Have an awesome week. Bye-bye.